Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Unapologetic at 50. I am your host, Sharon Fields. This is an uncapped community discussing real life issues. In your 50s, you have the right to say, I have no time for games, never regretting the past or apologizing for wanting a better future. Join me and special guests as we discuss topics and provide tools to navigate our midlife challenges. Thank you for listening and subscribing to the Unapologetic at 50 podcast. Today's special guest is Chandra Savage, the host of Mo Wine Podcast. Yes, M-O Wine Podcast. Chandra is a WSET certified wine educator, and I am ready to learn. I am ready for tips on how to step up my game when either ordering a glass of wine or purchasing a bottle. So, without further ado, I am just going to go ahead and welcome Chandra. Hi, Chandra. Welcome.
Hello, Sharon. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with you tonight and talk about wine because that is my passion. That is my love. That's what I could talk about all day long.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to make it as well. So if you can tell us a little bit about you and how you actually got started with your podcast.
Oh, sure. So I actually Mo Wine started as a blog in 2011, I believe. And it started because I needed help. I was self-educating myself on wine. And then I did join the WSET, but I was doing individual learning. So I wasn't going to the International Wine Center where I received my certification. I wasn't physically going to classes. It was like self-taught. But I didn't take into consideration that I had to actually purchase all of the wines I had to learn about.
Okay.
So that was interesting because it was quite a lot of wine. So it started off as a podcast. It started off as a blog, and then I turned it into a podcast later on.
So you had to purchase all of the wine and physically do testings or tastings, right? Is the right, correct term?
Tastings, yes.
Okay. There was a movie on a couple of years ago, and I want to say it was called Corked, but it might not have been. But it was Uncorked. Yes. I like that movie. So is that something similar when he had to learn everything about the taste and what was in the background when you actually drank it, if it was smoky and the area that it came from? Is that the same type of thing that you had to do during your training?
100%. And It was a little bit more challenging because I was doing it on my own.
Wow.
He had the benefit of having, classmates that he could compare tasting notes with. And I was kind of like doing it on my own. So it was a little bit less exciting than the movie because I'm like, hey, Chandra, what do you think? Girl, I think it would taste like this. Okay.
Yeah. You and you, right?
Right.
Well, nothing wrong with that as long as you were able to accomplish your goal. So, Chandra, what is WSET certified? Like, what does that mean?
So there's different types of certifications. There's different wine associations all over the world. They have the Wine and Spirits Trust Education, which is the WSET. They also have the Court of Sommeliers. There's so many. There's the Grand Master Sommeliers. There's so many different associations that you can get certifications from, but there's tiers to it. There's levels to it. And so the WSET was the easiest for me to begin with because I could do the independent study without, paying or having to relocate to go to an actual school to start my certification process.
Okay. Nice. So let's just jump into some questions then. It used to be that you pair your wine with the foods that you eat. Do you still do that, or are we at a point now you just drink what you like?
It's a little bit of both. It's interesting because when I'm by myself, I have a well-developed palate. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I know about this. Or, oh, I'm in the mood for a Gamay, or I'm in the mood for Beaujolais Nouveau, or hey, I think I want a Toronto tonight. So I can do whatever I want to do. But when I'm in the company of other people, the onus is on me to pick the wine, especially if we're in restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're like, we don't need the Somm, we have Chandra.
Right, right. She's
Like,
the expert.
right. So it's a burden or, for me to pick the right wine for all of the various dishes that everyone is going to eat. So I try to fill the void for each kind of dish that people could have, because some people are vegetarians, some people are pescatarians, some
Right.
people are carnivores. So to pick one bottle of wine that's going to complement each dish that every person is going to have can be a challenge at times. So
Okay,
I
so
do both.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, so I do both. Like,
Oh, okay. I was going to say, so when you're out amongst a group of people, you would have a variation or multiple types of wine depending on what their eating lifestyle is. And that also gives them an opportunity to try something different, right? Because they might be a person that normally drinks white, but if you have red on the table, then maybe they'll try that as well.
right. And I also try to take that into consideration when I am with a group of people. Like, do they really drink wine, or are they just trying to elevate their palates and elevate their wine education? So I know not to go too heavy into the reds because it's going to be overpowering for them. I try to be as respectful of people as possible. So I'll try a lighter style red.
And what does a lighter style red look like?
So Pinot Noirs and Gamay are lighter style reds. And so, like a Cabernet Sauvignon is very heavy. It's like a robust, kind of like punch you in the face type of wine. And a Pinot Noir is known in the wine world as like the white of the reds. It's the lightest red out of the red family.
Okay, so I like getting punched in the face, girl, because I love I love Cabernet Sauvignon and I love Merlot. I do love my dark, hearty, like, I don't know, some of them taste like there's like a pepper or like a little spicy on the back. Listen, I'll be in here with my little glass, like turned up. Let me take a little sip, making these little noises. I don't know what I'm doing, girl, but I just know what I like.
But you do know what you're doing, and you know what you like. And whatever you like, that's what you're supposed to be doing. There are rules, but there's really no rules. You like what you like.
Yeah, and enjoy yourself, right?
100%. I mean, my mother, God bless her, she wants to be, into wine because I'm into wine, but she's constantly buying something that she doesn't like. And I'm like, stop drinking that.
Right.
She's like, but you drink it. Yeah, that's me.
Right, right. Yeah. It's the same thing with foods or anything else, right? One person has an acquired taste for something and you may have another. So, yeah, it's the same thing. It's
And
just,
listen,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. But I didn't start out drinking the types and styles of wines that I drink now. I had to get to this level over time, over learning and tasting wine. I met Kevin Zirali, who was the director of Windows of the World, the wine school. And I said, how can I ever get to your level, Kevin? He was like, you already are. Just drink all the wine you can and learn all you can about the wine.
Nice. Well, let me ask you this, Chandra. Should wine be chilled? Or is it okay to drink it at room temperature, or does it depend on what type of wine it is?
It depends on what type of wine it is. I mean, you can kind of chill some reds, and it actually might, benefit you in some capacity. But reds should never be super cold unless they're on the higher end of the sweet spectrum. If they're a sweeter style red, then they could be like a little cold.
Why? Does that change the taste of the actual wine?
I think it makes it more bearable, but I don't like sweet wine.
Right.
I'm on the dry, punch you in your face wines. I remember I went to this wine event. It was called Around the World in 86.
Mm-hmm.
And I was being exposed to another variety of wine that I had never had before. And it was a Zygote from Austria. And I was like, wow, like this is really strong. I love it. And the wine educator, the person that was educating me on the wine, was like, "Oh, you like the big girls." And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna start using that. Yeah, I like the big girls."
That's right. That's right. Once you open a bottle, though, of wine, how long does it last in your refrigerator?
So white wines you can have in your refrigerator for up to a week, or you could push it to the limit and maybe have it for maybe 10 days. But I wouldn't go really past that.
Okay, because the wine will start to do what? Like wine goes bad because it's a fruit and it's been fermented, and now you're letting oxygen and everything else in once you have opened it. But will it actually revert to like vinegar or something like that? Is that how you would know that the wine is bad?
Yeah. So that's when a wine is turned. That's the term they call it. When a wine is turned, it's it's turning into vinegar. And that
Okay.
has to do with the amount of air and the amount of time that the bottle has been open. So that's more for if the bottles are outside, like they're open, but they're outside of the refrigerator. Inside the refrigerator, the chemical process is still the same. It's just going to take a little longer because it's chilled. So it's not a lot of warm heat and, you know, time for the sugar to turn back into vinegar, so to
Okay.
speak.
Now you did mention wine tasting. So do you do events like that or no? Or is it just the podcast and the blogging?
Yeah, I have in the past. I no longer do them, but I just am focused on the podcast. And I don't even blog as much, really. I'm just very committed to the podcast and making digital products to teach people about wines. So for every season that passed, right after a season, because I'm about to start season 3, but at the end of season 1, I decided to create these digital wine tasting cards, and I
Okay.
call them wine bars because I make little limericks for each wine to help people remember characteristics about the wine.
Okay. Tell us more about that.
So it started out, I was thinking, like, how can I help people? Because you can listen to a podcast and then, you know, a week later, you'd be like, I don't even remember what she said. But I was like, well, if I give them something that they you know, constantly look at and give them a way to remember something in a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, how can I do that? And I started thinking about how do we learn in school? Like you learn by like a song or they teach you a rhyme so you can remember something. So I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that with the wine and help people remember certain characteristics about the wine. That's how that started. So I
So,
came up with the
go ahead.
name wine bars, just a play on words, but bars, BARZ.
Okay.
And I made like little limericks for each of the wines that I covered.
Okay. So give us one for red. Is that it? Or is the actual name of the wine and then the card to remember it? Or,
So it's not for reds. It's not for like reds or white. It has to do with the wine, and each limerick was different. So sometimes it would be more about the flavor profile of the wine,
okay.
and sometimes it would be more about the region or the area the wine came from. And so I mean, there is a science to a limerick, you know, there's a format that you have to follow. But in terms of like what I put in the limerick is based on each individual wine. Does that
Okay.
make sense to you?
A little bit. So that's what I'm saying. Give us one or tell us one so we'll have a better idea of what that actually means. And while you're thinking about that, I'm just going to say wine in moderation can be healthy for you, right? Red has a nutritional value that is higher than white due to antioxidants. Most people are familiar with resveratrol, if I said that correctly, which is in wine. Also, it contains quercetin, which is also good for you. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to get all your antioxidants by throwing a straw in a bottle of wine. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just saying that there are some nutritional values because the wine is made from grapes. It's fermented or fermentated, right? And we do know that items and foods that are fermented are good for the gut, which is also healthy for you. So I'm glad that we had this opportunity today to also talk about wines. A glass of wine every now and then is fine. I'm not by any means saying, listen to this podcast and now you need to go out there and you need to drink a half a bottle a day. But sis, do what you do. Just be careful.
Yes, yes. Everything that you said is absolutely correct. So I do have a limerick up here that I want to share. That's on one of my tasting cards about Tempranillo. And that comes from either the Spain region, Chile, or Argentina. And this is like the limerick that I made up for it. So whether Spain, Argentina, or Chile, the wine Tempranillo consumes me. The wine is still dry and the tannins are high, but the texture was luscious and jammy.
Okay, that right, that's cute. That's cute and a little sexy. You know how you read it. If you reading it to somebody else, come on over here. Let me get my wine bars on. That might be as sexy as I can get at the moment, right? That is nice. Okay, so how do you purchase the cards or the wine bars?
So you can purchase them on Buy Me a Coffee / Mo Wine. And I can also send the link to you as well if you want to share it with some people.
Yeah, that would
But
be great.
I love them. I've been getting very positive feedback about them. I'm currently working on the Wine Bars Volume 2 for this past season 2. And the feedback is I just can't wait to get the cards. I can't wait till you're finished. So I'm excited. I'm excited that people are enjoying them. And I want it to be a little fun, you know. I don't want it to be like, oh, be so stuffy with
Right.
wine because it doesn't have to be. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Enjoy it, right? Have fun with it. I actually have gone to a couple of wine tastings where you had the wine and then maybe you had a piece of dark chocolate. And if it was a dark red wine, I couldn't tell you exactly what region it was from, but if you take a sip of the wine and a piece of the chocolate, it actually tasted like a cherry cordial. And I was like, wow, this is great what the palate can do when you mix things. You're kind of creating your own little thing there. So instead of me going out here and eating a candy that I don't need, I will have some chocolate and some wine. And I'm going to make it up as I go.
There's nothing wrong with candy. I'm a candy girl. I love chocolate. And I do love chocolate and wine together. When you're drinking like a Shiraz with a piece of chocolate is very yummy. But I like pairing things with wine. I like pairing food with wine. I hate Chardonnay on its own, but if I have a sparkling wine, not necessarily a champagne, but if I have a sparkling wine, most sparkling wines have some Chardonnay in it.
Oh, okay.
So if I have that with popcorn, I'm kind of a happy camper.
With popcorn. Okay. I have to try that. I'm not a fan of Chardonnay, but listen, it doesn't hurt to try, right? And that's something I love popcorn. I make popcorn all the time. I hate popcorn in a bag. No, let me not say hate because that's very strong. I prefer popping my own popcorn. If I don't have time to do that, I will buy it in the bag. But popcorn and Chardonnay. Give us a couple of other ones that we can try.
So I love, well, it depends on the individual because I do eat meat,
Hmm.
just in moderation. But I love bacon wrapped figs
Okay.
and Syrah. I love that together.
So I guess that would be like a savory sweet. The fig is
Mm-hmm.
sweet, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that would be savory and sweet. And let's see. So if there's someone that doesn't eat meat, what would be savory that they would be able to mix with a fig?
Well, they wouldn't have to have a fig. For my vegans or vegetarians out there, if they have like a mushroom based dish to
Okay.
have with the red wine, that is the heartiest type of vegetable because it has an earthiness to it.
Hmm.
So it'll still complement with the wine.
Okay. So if someone was just starting out and they wanted to try to figure out what wines they really like, would you have a starting place? A lot of times you go into I don't know if they're called, wine and us. Like there's so many different places or liquor store or whatever. And there's so many different varieties, right? And they come from all these different regions. And you're kind of like, well, okay, do I just come in here and just pick one for the sake of picking it? Or what is the best way for you to choose a wine for yourself?
I would not start at a liquor store and just get a random bottle. I
Okay.
would try going to a couple of wine tastings first,
Okay.
just to get, your palate wet and try a couple of different things. But, if somebody's just starting out, like I said, you want to go from the lighter styles to the heavier styles. So if you have never had wine before, you go to the store and they're like, well, they might ask you what type of food do
Right.
you like? Or is this for a party? Is it for a meal? Is it just because you just, want to try a wine? And if you tell them like, I just want to open a bottle and try something, then they might tell you, start with the Chardonnay or start on the whites and then go
Work your
into the
way.
reds.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this also. Um, is sangria a wine or is that like a mosh posh of several different things? It's good, but what is it?
No, sangria is delicious. Sangria is wine.
Okay.
And you can use whatever wine you want to make sangria. Whatever you want. You can use a rosé, you could use white, you could use red. Doesn't matter.
Okay. And there's no specific way of making sangria. Sangria is just a combination of wine and fruits. And some people even put like,
Brandy.
yes, exactly. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, you can make it with just wine and fruit, but I feel like that's not really a true sangria. Like you gotta add a little oomph in there.
She said a little oomph. So for those that are not ready for the oomph yet, just stick with the wine and maybe a additional little bit of salsa or something. Like, do you need that in there as well or no?
You can do whatever you want. If you want a little bubbly in there, you can put some salsa in there, and that's fine. But they also have pre-made sangria, which is actually really good. Like you can go to the liquor store and pick up a bottle of sangria and just put some fruit in it, and it's really good.
Is there a specific brand that you would recommend in sangria?
I don't remember the name of the brand. I just remember what the bottle looks like because it looks like graffiti or like a tagging style. It just says sangria in bold yellow letters, and the bottle itself is very colorful. And I
Okay.
know it comes in a slim bottle, like a 750 milliliter, and it comes in a jug for when you're having a party.
Parties or something. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Go in the store and look for the graffiti bottle in the sangria aisle. People probably already know because I think I have an idea of what it is also. I just can't remember the actual name of it, but it does say sangria on there. And there's more than one type. There's red and there's also white, correct?
And I do favor the white sangria in the summertime more than
Okay.
the red. Because my reds, I like them to be heartier, but you can't put a heartier red as the sangria because it'll overpower everything.
Mm,
So if you have a lighter style white, or you have like a Tempranillo, or you have some Palangina, these are all lighter style white wines. The Tarantes is more citrus in it, and the Palangina is more neutral. It's more There's more minerality in it. So that'll be like the most neutral white wine to start making the white sangria. So I would use the Tarantas on top just because it's more fruit forward. The wine itself is more fruit forward, so it's just gonna add to the fruit that you put into the wine.
okay. That sounds good. I mean, I actually started with white and I started with ones that were they were sweeter, but I guess my palate changed because after a while I was like, yeah, that's just a little bit too sweet for me. So I just kept trying different ones until I got to a point where it was worth drinking. I enjoyed it. It wasn't something that I was out just drinking it for the sake of drinking it because everybody was out drinking wine. You know what I mean? That's the worst thing ever because to me, I don't want to be wasting calories either. You know what I mean? I'm stuck on that. I ain't wasting my calories on nothing that I don't really like. So I stopped doing that and I finally found what it is that I really like. And I do like the darker wines.
Yeah. So what is your favorite?
I like Merlot and I like Cabernet Sauvignon, but I don't have like a specific brand. Now I'm telling on myself here. Okay. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a specific brand with a name that I can't pronounce because I will need you if we're going out somewhere and I have to read all this stuff on the menu because I'm telling you, I'm going to mess that up right now. I'm going to say, excuse me, can you come over here and tell me what this is? Because I'm not going to be able to pronounce it or depending on what language it's in. But I find myself in the sections for Spain. So I don't know what the notes are in those wines that I'm attracted to.
There's fire in those wines. You're gonna find some spice. Most of the time, those are the wines that have a little bit more spice to it. And, they come from a warmer region, so they're going to be more fruit forward. And they're also an excellent value. Wines from Spain bring an excellent value. So you don't have to, break your piggy bank open
Right.
wide to enjoy something really wonderful from Spain.
Well, that's good because I'm a fire sign. So my wine should have the
So
fire
am
too.
I.
Really? What's your sign?
I'm a Leo.
Oh my goodness, girl. Yes, I am. Yes, we
You
are.
are?
I am.
It's
There it
beautiful.
is. Yes,
And I
yes.
have a Merlot for you to try too.
All right, let me know. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna have to give you some shout outs around your birthday. When is that, if you don't mind me asking?
August 2nd.
All right, I'm August the 13th. Lioness. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. Great, great, great.
That is great. And you know what? I could give you so I've been drinking Merlot a lot lately. I don't know what's come over me. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but normally I'm trying like lots of different things, but I've been on the Merlot wagon lately. And there's a company, a wine brand called Bogle,
Okay.
and their Merlot this year is the business.
Okay. I have to look for that one.
And it's really affordable. It's like $7.99, $9.99.
Okay.
They've actually won some awards. Their award-winning wine this past vintage won a couple of awards. I used to drink Bogle a long time ago, but I used to drink their Petite Syrah. And then, I moved on to other things. But this Merlot is there's something there this year.
All right. I'm definitely going to look for that. And I like the fact that you can try things that are in your price range and then you can work your way up. Because I have tasted some wines that were on the higher side and it wasn't for me.
I'm with you there. I've had wines that could be like $70, $80 bottles. And I'm like, I will never drink this again. And then I've had wines that are like $10, $11, $12. I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
Right.
How much is this?
Yeah. So I don't know if you can really equate the cost of the bottle to the taste, because overall it's your palate.
It's your palate, and it's also how much alcohol you can withstand too. Because the old world wines and new world wines are different in that way. The new world wines have a higher alcohol content to them. And then the old world wines, they have lesser alcohol to them. And most of them are drier than the new world wine.
So what would be an example of a new world wine?
Any of the wines from the United States, from California, from Australia, from New Zealand, they would be like new world wines.
Okay. So it's not the actual year or anything. It's the, okay.
Because the wine, depending on who you ask, the wine mother of all wines is the French region, or Italy, France,
right,
Spain, they're old world wines.
Okay. Now, what about champagne and Prosecco? Because a lot of people use the Prosecco for making mimosas and things of that nature. And it's similar, but it can't be called champagne because it's not from that region. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You're 100% correct. And, champagne is synonymous, or it started off being synonymous with, being French. So Prosecco is the Italian sparkling wine.
Okay.
And sometimes the tastes are always going to be different because the terroir is different. The temperature is different in the various different regions. So there's going to be a difference. Also, depending on which method they use, there's a traditional method, and then, I don't know why it's escaping me right now. There's a champagne method, there's a traditional method, and it just depends on like how they're aging it. What wood they're using for the barrel. Are they doing a second fermentation in bottle that changes how big the bubbles are going to be?
Oh, okay.
But that's pretty much it. Like every wine region has a sparkling wine. It just can't be called champagne.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with the Prosecco.
Prosecco is good. I like Cava. Cava's drier. I love Cavas, but I like to mix them with Saint Germain because I love.
And what is that? Is that a liquor, a whiskey, or a brandy?
It's a liquor. It's an elderflower liqueur.
Oh, okay. I like elderflower. So that makes like a little a sparkly drink with a little something
sweetness to it. Yeah. So Cava is very dry. But elderflower liqueur is not as high in alcohol content, but it's sweeter.
Okay.
And it is essentially putting alcohol on top of alcohol. But it just makes it a little more special.
Okay. All right. So now the weather is about to break, and hopefully we'll be able to get outside a little bit more. Everybody still continue to use your mask, please.
Yeah.
Follow protocol. But if I'm out having a drink and I want to have something with kava, what is the name of the drink that I can order that has the elderflower in it? Or do I just say, can I have kava with Saint Germain? Is that what you
Saint
said?
Germain. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At most restaurants will make up their own names for the drink. So it's not like can I have a 7 and 7? You can't call it something like that because they all make up these exotic names for the drink, but it's still essentially kava and Saint Germain.
Okay. All right. Well, Chandra, thank you so much. Thank you for all the information that you provided. It was great talking to you. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us in reference to what it is that you do, your cards, your podcast? Feel free.
Yes. So you can find me on all the interwebs at Mo Wine for You, MOWINEFRFORU. Excuse me. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but most of the time I'm on Instagram. I live in the Instagram world. My website is www.mo-wine.com. And you can always, listen to past episodes on there. You can find some of my old blogs on there. And I'm in the process of putting the wine cards on there too. And I'm also in the middle of doing the season 2 wine bars cards, so I should be done with them shortly. I'm excited. I've been doing a lot of things. I also have I applied for a position at a winery that I'm hoping will come up for me quickly. And if that happens, then I might be moving to Sonoma.
Okay, because I want to go. I sure enough do. That would be awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to visit them.
It's beautiful. And then if I'm there, then we could try lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have a good old time. But we have to drink lots of water.
I'm good with that. Keep my system flushed out.
Yeah.
Clean my
I have a question
palate.
for you.
Sure.
Do you have a go-to wine for the summer?
For the summer? No, I don't.
Do you go lighter in the summer or you continue with Merlot?
I normally continue.
I'm not mad at you.
I normally continue. Now I like sangria, right? But it is just something about the sweetness. I know for myself, if I drink something that has a lot of sugar, I'm not going to feel well the next day. So I try to stay clear of that. It's the same thing. Like I don't do well with mixed drinks and things of that nature. It's the sugar content.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I try to stay away from that. Like I said, I started out with whites. And I did the whole, this thing was Moscato. That had so much sugar in it. It was good and fruity and cold and stuff, but I always felt bad after. So I couldn't continue doing that. And then there was another one that I used to drink that started with a F. And I'm going to mess this one up, but I'm going to try it. Freixenhagen or something. I don't know, child. Freix.
It's a sparkling wine.
Okay.
I think it's called like Flexier or something
like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was drinking that. And that was okay. So I've tried a couple of whites. Like there was a Pinot Gris, Gris, but I found that maybe once or twice. And that one was actually on the sweeter side.
Really?
Yeah. And I
Well,
didn't
I
find
guess
it.
it depends on the company that made it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are not really that sweet, but I would be interested in trying a sweet Pinot Gris because I haven't had one. But what about Riesling? Do you not like
I
Riesling?
used to drink Riesling too. Yeah. And Riesling was fine. So if I did have to go out and drink a wine, it would be Riesling.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I used to enjoy Riesling quite a bit myself.
Yeah.
This was fun. Thank you for having me on your show. I
Thank you for
appreciate
coming
it.
on. I really do appreciate that you had the opportunity and came and shared your podcast with us and everything that you're doing. I'm looking forward to purchasing my cards because I want to take a look at that, as well as maybe you could send us a little list of some wines or something that we can take a look at and do our own taste testing at home.
That would be cool. Or I could give you a homework assignment.
Uh-oh. What's the homework? The homework assignment is for everybody that's listening, right?
Yep.
Okay,
It's
what is
everyone that's
it?
listening.
What
So
is
the
it?
homework assignment is that you have to go listen to one or two episodes of my podcast and purchase one of the wines that you've never had before
Okay.
and write your tasting notes down, what you thought about it, and then email me or get at me on Instagram like, girl, I had that Palangina, or I've never had, agave before, but I like it. I want some feedback because I want people to get out of their comfort zone with wine.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to learn? How is your palate going to expand if you keep drinking the same thing?
That's true. Mm-hmm. So true. Yes, we will do that. I will do that. And I'll make sure that I hit you back on Instagram so you'll know that I really did do it and I did try it.
Social proof. Like that would be great because I do, I sometimes when you're doing a podcast, you feel like you're talking in the wind, and I really want to know that people are like, wow, I never heard about that. Yeah, I want to try that, and I want to know how they felt about the experience.
Right. Exactly. Nice. So are your blogs still available?
My blogs are some of my blogs are still on the site, but mostly I've replaced them with my podcast episodes.
Okay. Not a problem.
The one key difference between when I was blogging and my podcast, when I was blogging before, that was around the time that I was doing my studies.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more about like the terroir, the year, the vintage, I was more into that when I was blogging.
Okay.
But the podcast is more about expanding people's minds and having them try different wines from all around the world. Some of these grapes are indigenous to specific areas.
Right.
So it's really more interesting and eye-opening to try these different things.
Chandra, thank you so much. Again, I'm glad that you took the time out of your day to share some of your tips and educate us about wines, as well as give us an assignment to do. You are now a friend of the family. So anytime you're working on something new or want to share information with us pertaining to new wines, or even different places that we can actually go and do taste testings or any of your products, feel free to join us anytime.
Oh, I would love to. And that, I'm going to be starting season 3 soon, and I'm going to want you to come visit me as well.
I definitely will. Just let me know when.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Unapologetic at 50. Please remember to subscribe and share. This episode was made available today by BeautifulCurves365.com.